Well, I guess we'll see what that is when we get to it. Cannot read 0 of undefined. Great. Alright, amazing. Alright, so the entry sub 0 is... Come on. Entry... Alright, so there's no value, it's just... Alright, so our key map is that... listeners... It's not listeners.clear, it's incoming events.clear. Alright, listeners.get that. Alright, so our key is test key, our event is, this is some data, listener key map has this for every listener. Entry is just letter is not defined. What is this listener key map? It's a map of test key. Okay. Alright, so listeners is this, so this is, I'm just not really on it today, am I? So we don't need a sub-zero on this one because it's a set. Is that what it is? It's just inconsistencies with how these data structures are put together in JavaScript land. It's just really annoying because it's like, well, okay, if you're dealing with sets, you do this, and if you're dealing with this, you do this other thing. Alright, so the event looks like it's firing now. Cannot read property M type of undefined. Yeah, so our screen stuff is also all sorts of screwed up. Alright, so let's fix that. And this is of type set. Awaiting user. Alright, unregister event for type. There are 0 of this type. Registering event for test type. There are type 0. Alright. Alright, well that should work then. So that should be our event listening system in JavaScript land. So we can now register for events and do that. So we need these events to be auto-generated. So we need to make a new event. So var event equals this. I guess we should say new event, and the type needs to be the event.name. And what is the key going to be? It should just be the event.key and then the event. I guess for every variable we just set the variable name to the thing. So this will be event.variable.name equals variable.name. So we need a key on our events in our JSON. So our key here would be var1, I believe. And we're probably going to want our key, our event type to be some sort of thing. So like, I don't really need it though. This is where it'd be nice to have like some compile time checking for event names, but we don't have them, so it just doesn't exist. Alright, so that should actually get it all set. So what we'd want to do is if the event key doesn't exist, so if event.key question mark else. So if it exists, use that. Otherwise, just use like an empty string, and that could work. So it's like all of them. Alright, let's run that and see what we get. Got example event, on event. example event. Alright, so we want our main menu screen JS to register for this event and act upon it. So the other question would be, should we register an event like this? We're going to get it even if we're a screen that is not active. Is that going to be a problem? I mean, maybe. But then again, it might simplify things. Be like, well, you're always going to get called, so don't worry about it. So I'm not going to. So let's put up the editor and let's do a test event and see what we get. So this is going to be, I want to register for this event. So reg event, the event is example event. And the key that we're going to be passing in here is going to be var1. So let's see, what is var1 that we've got going on for this? I think it's in game utils. We've got our example event with 1 in it. So why don't we try 1? So we'll do glogger info. Got example event of type event.mtype for key event.mkey with I guess we have our complex object. So event.var2. We'll just see what happens when we run this. Alright, so we should be registered for our event. So should be able to call test example event. So got event type test complex object. Got the example event. Data was true. Got example event with type example event for key 1 with object. Awesome. So our event actually works. So if we go into like settings, we should still get our, yeah, we still get everything. Alright, so that's our event system hooked up then, and the autogen for it done. Let's just go over how everything works. So in order to get an event, you make an event, add it in here. You can use any of the objects that we have defined in our objects arrays, and those will all generate out. And if you don't have a key, it won't have a key, and it'll just work. Yeah, alright, so that's our event system. Let's remove a little bit of our debugging then. And the other thing that we'd want to do is we'd want to throw 2 events here and see what happens. We should only get called once. So let's go ahead and make sure that that actually happens. Is there anything else we want to do with the autogen? Like, do we want to get any accessor methods like get object auto-generated for us? It would basically force compile errors and give us stuff that would be like, yep, there's your interface for JavaScript, just add it here, execute this, compile it, and then fill out the function for it. And we'd be generating the header file, but we wouldn't be generating the CPP, is what it would be. I could see how that'd be useful. Force us to use the right objects and not screw around with everything else. Though, that doesn't fucking matter. We're gonna have to write it anyway. Alright, let's just double check these events to start with. Alright, so we only got one event back, as we expected. Alright, so let me think here. These things are being marshaled across nicely into actual objects. So the question would be, if we can do anything better with getter methods for fetching data. Well, the only thing it would enforce is that we're using the correct objects. Well, I could go ahead and write it up and then use it if it's worthwhile. It's kind of stupid though. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think we'll be good with the event system. And you can fetch the data initially as you want. Or we could set up like our gameplay system to always be registering for events and stuff like that. Alright, so let's... is this everything we modified? Alright, cool. So we got that running. And why don't we just double check it, that we reconcile everything that might need to be reconciled. Alright, and generation, templates. Alright, so everything's good. Alright. Okay, that task is finished, so we finished that crap. Autogen system for UI objects is finished. Alright, so let's switch over. I'm going to try to knock out a few things that were on the list. So what we want to do is we want to physics override for the stun ground impact, physics override for ground pound. So we want to hook up the stun ground impact so that effect knows what material it is, and same thing for the ground pound impact. I want a recovery effect and make it play sound, recover 2 in Big Bang. Alright. So physics override for stun on the ground. Okay, so this thing is used inside of the stun state? Yeah, okay, so alright, so I have if on ground, get physics, get last surface touched? Okay, so yeah, this will be our get last surface touched. And our physics state is the other thing that we could get. Well, we know we're on the ground, so it just doesn't matter. Alright, so that will allow us to know where we are for our physics state on the ground pound impact. Alright, so what we want to do is, how do we hook this up in others? We have let's do P default impact. And what we want is the auto material swap. Auto material swap. Alright, this is the auto material swap. Alright. So auto, alright, so I'll have default, Yeah, so play SFX default. And yeah. So auto material swap, this needs to be auto activate false. So auto material swap, alright, so get material map, and we want to add. So we want to add a default. And then we have the sound map. So this will be a particle system overrides right up here. And this is going to be the SFX overrides. SFX default. Alright, I'm going to duplicate this and play SFX rock and duplicate P particles rock. Alright, so we got our defaults. Let's yeah, I guess we could just kind of throw this here. Alright, let's compile that. Alright, so that should be hooked up now. Okay, so now we want the ground pound impact. So we have a light that gets played. Alright, that's fine. Alright, so we got our auto material swap. So auto activate false, auto activate false. Alright, so auto material swap, we're gonna get our material map, start adding things to it. So default. Alright, so we'll do this. So we need auto material swap. Need our sound map. Need our add. And there's our SFX defaults. Very good. Alright, so now we need to go to that actual ground pound impact effect, which I think is in the player object. So it should be in the ground pound active ball determine position. Yeah, okay, so player ground pound, so let's see, where are we? Get animation, lock animation. Get physics state. If we are on the ground is true, then alright, so if you're on ground, so get movement, and then we need to get last surface touch, and then we pass that into our surface. Alright, so let's make sure this is all saved. And let's go load into a level that has some surfaces. And jump around in it. Surfaces grass. Surfaces water. Surfaces defaults. Surfaces dirt. Alright, so it looks like it's totally working, and we're seeing our impacts, right? I should jump over to the night level and make sure that light is playing. Awesome. Okay, so that works. Alright. So what is this asking me to save? I don't want to save that. Okay, so physics overrides for ground pound impact. We want a recovery effect, and we want to make it play a sound. Okay, so let's make a recover effect. So let's go to effects, let's go to Brackensag, player. What's the closest thing to this? Probably player reset. Duplicate that, so FX, player recover. Yeah, it's gonna be some topology stuff. Alright, I'm gonna email that to Adam. Alright, so we've got our play SFX, auto kill and warn, kill on anim finished. We don't want that, we want kill, auto kill SFX, I believe. And we want to add the, I think it's recover 2. Okay. And we want to play this effect inside of movement when we do our stun state recovery. So let's see, where is that? Play recover anim. Alright. So get recovery animation. Let's go to our character and see what animation this actually is. So it looks like we want it for pretty much everything. So the ground tumble, alright, it's just everything except for, let's just have a local variable which is play effect. So where is this? I think it's like parent, get position. We're gonna need a player recover other, I believe. ID movement controller reference. Get entity. Get owner. How did I do this inside of the other movements? The footsteps. Alright, so let's make a player recover other. And the reason we need to do that is because different sound effects and stuff like that need to be different. So FX player recover other. Alright, I'm going to go in here and auto kill and warn. Auto kill SFX. We need to. This is others. Other needs to use the location, but this one needs to not use location. Okay. So now we need to implement that and then recover. So let's just organize this a little bit better. Oh, that is so annoying. Alright, so what we want to do here is we want to set if we're going to play our effect. And the only one that we're not is, I think, yeah, okay, so play effect is false. Wait, what is this? I must have screwed something up there. Ugh. Alright, so play effect will be true here. Air glide. Yeah, I think air glide should probably play as well. Alright, so let's take a listen to that and see what it sounds like. Okay, so the oh Jesus. Sounds so brutal. Alright, well it works, so that's all I care about. So we want a channeled effects for players sliding on the ground when stunned. We already have one. It's the player slide. I don't know, I'll have to write that down. So let me see. It should just be player slide, yeah. So, yeah, that does it. So let me see here. I think the other thing was he was asking about a land. Yeah, and this should probably be physics specific, material specific. So why don't we give him a land effect that we can deal with? All right, so auto material swap. This is play SFX default. Right, so does the auto kill on stop take into account we've got what? Particle effects, and we've got sounds. It'll actually stop them if they're not still playing. If it is a set playing to false, yeah, whatever. So auto kill on stop, why don't we try that? So let's see, there's probably a leaves particle effect somewhere that I can use. Why don't we go get that? We can just use stomp moss. Alright, so why don't we do that? So p underscore moss particles. So this should be good. So auto activate to false for both of those. And we want the player to land wherever that's called. I think it's going to be in the movement stuff. Yeah, I don't know where it is used, so I don't see where it. I don't see it at all. It's just the player logic object that has it. Okay. So gameplay, player logic object. Alright, so alright, so on land, so if we land on moss, we should be able to do stuff. Alright. So how do we create a new layer here? I totally forget how to do this.